Good afternoon and welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is a little bit different. This is about a murder case that happened in my small city. Now it's pretty old now. It's about, I think it happened in 2002. There was a boy, he murdered his girlfriend and they couldn't find her body. Now I'm not quite sure why they didn't get other evidence, but it was getting to look like he was going to get away with murder, even though everybody knew he had done it. So what they did, they set up a sting. And this is about 2 years after the murder. They told him, well, not the police, they undercover went to him and told him he had won tickets to a Calgary hockey game. So he was flown to Calgary, set up in a hotel, and they had where you can go to a meeting room, like rooms where you can, or a room where you can all get together with other winners. And so they did that. He was introduced to somebody else that had supposedly won tickets as well. They got to talking, kind of became friends. And this other guy had happened to mention he also was in other things besides whatever he was told he did. So anyways, it worked out that they convinced the boyfriend that this was a criminal organization. He could join and become a part of it, but they had to know how he was as a person, because they didn't need anyone that was scared of the police or who was scared of doing anything against the law. So he did end up telling them that he had murdered his girlfriend. She was going to testify against him because he had assaulted her at an earlier time and he was going to court. And so he had gone to see her. He ended up choking her, scared he had killed her. So then he took her, put her in the bathtub and drowned her. Then he took her body, and that was the issue, one of the main issues, because they couldn't find her body anywhere. He took it and buried it where there was elderly lady had been just recently buried. So he dug up that grave, put her body with this older lady, and reburied her. So it's without his confession and about what happened, that he probably never, he might have got away with it. So now there is quite a bit more to the story. So the name is, just let me check here on my little notepad here. His name was Michael Bridges, and her name, the girl's name, was Erin Chorney. And this was in April of 2002. Now, he got 25 years in prison, so he will get out at some point. He will get probation. Not sure how long he's going to stay there. But that's kind of the short version of what happened. So if you're into true crime or anything, this is kind of an interesting story because of what they call, I forget what the name of the guy that they use as he's a big time supposedly crime, and they have a name for him, and they've done this before. They've done this sting before in Canada. So I don't know if they've used it in the States, where they basically pretend a person has won something, and they get together and they meet and they have it all set up so this looks legit. Then they start talking about crime and how much money they make in crime, and would he be interested in joining their organization. Mr. Big, that's what it's called, Mr. Big. That's the name of a guy that they had. So the other officers who are undercover, play up this Mr. Big guy, and and finally he gets to meet this Mr. Big in a hotel room, and of course they have it all set up, cameras, microphones, the whole bit, and he wants to know, have you ever committed a crime? What was the worst thing you've ever done? And the person spills their guts and tells them. And that's all they need. Then it's the game over. So they did it in Ontario as well with someone who was getting away, and they just had a undercover cop. I'm not up on the story or the names, but I can just barely remember. So a cop just got an old truck, and he dressed down, and because the guy was leaving the area hitchhiking, so he just picked him up in his vehicle truck, got friendly, was nice to him, gave him money, bought him food, the whole 9 yards, and just kind of, sometimes it can take a while. It just doesn't happen overnight, but it's kind of an interesting story. So if you're interested, just Google Erin Chorney, and it should bring it up. She's the girl that was murdered. So it's quite interesting. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that little story, and we'll talk to you later.